I made a tutorial for coloring a long time ago, but since then my style and outlook on color has changed a lot, so I figured I'd give an updated one. So there's really 3 easy steps to this, and I'll break it down. First, find a scheme. Schemes are a way to improve fast using other people's knowledge. They may seem limiting, but limiting can be good. And besides, you don't have to stick with schemes, and I usually don't. You can just use them as a starting point. There are tons of sites with pre-made color schemes. My personal favorite is Adobe Color, however you pronounce that. When I first started thinking about color schemes, I relied on pre-made schemes a lot, but as I grew, I made my own to fit my own aesthetic. So that comes to the second part of schemes, making your own custom schemes. You'll have to know, just a bit of color theory for this, or my botched sense of color theory anyways. No need for the triads, quads, quintuplets, or whatever they're called. I mean, you can memorize those, but do you really want to? You only need to have the complementaries and a sense of personal aesthetic. So, some of the aesthetics that I use are pastel/analogous, vibrant, usually uses the triadic and square scheme, and monochrome, which is basically you have shades of one color, varying shades of that, and usually you have one really bright version of that color, a black and a white. And there are much more other color schemes. And in fact, you don't even need to memorize complementaries and have your own aesthetic if you have Adobe Color. Hail Adobe. But I find making custom ones makes your art much more unique and fits your style much better. If you have a style, which it's totally fine if you don't. So I'll demonstrate how pre-made schemes and custom schemes can be applied next. Step 2. Make the art. So what I usually do is I lay down a texture as a base layer, and this texture acts as a sort of ground for the color that I'm going to use the most out of the scheme. And I find that textures really add some personality to your art. Of course, you don't have to use textures if you don't want to. If you want to switch color schemes on the same piece, then you'll probably want to go the digital route instead of the traditional route. And you would have to separate each of the components that are going to change colors into separate layers, like what I'm doing. A tip on color that is beyond color schemes: you want things that are farther away to be cooler in color. Basically, they're more blue/purplish. And they're either going to be lighter or darker, depending on where the light source is. Notice how I don't strictly stick to the scheme. I just have the general feel of it. Voila! I fast-forwarded time and now we have a beautiful baby girl. Send congrats and money, please. Step 3. Use the scheme on the art. If you're gonna go digital with the art, it's pretty easy to switch schemes, and I'll show you how now. So, use that scheme on the art. If you're going digital with the art, it's pretty easy to switch schemes. There are 2 ways to do it. You can either use separate layers for the parts of the art that are going to change colors, and then you can use adjustment layers on those layers. That's one way to do it. Or you can use the brush tool and have it be set on color mode. Personally, I don't recommend that because it sucks. So I'll show you how to do the first way, using adjustment layers on the layers. Right here is where you can create an adjustment layer, or you can also go up to whatever this is, the toolbar, and go to New Adjustment Layers and select whatever effect you want. Personally, I find that selective color is really good for changing colors and being really micromanagey about it. You could also use hue and saturation, and if you want to make it more vibrant, you could use color lookup. I'm just going to show how to use selective color on this because that's my favorite. Yay! So right now, the color scheme is a basic complementary one, orange and blue with high contrast. I'll show how to apply some pre-made ones from Adobe Color to this piece using selective color. Oh yeah, if you're not using Photoshop, I think Paint Tool SI has a hue and saturation thing. I'm not sure about GIMP, You probably might want to decide on your color scheme before making the piece and not change it around later. Okay, let's start with a vibrant aesthetic. Now I'm gonna do a monochrome aesthetic. It's mostly grayish tones except for purple. Following the complementary theory, I'm gonna make this box kind of yellowish, orangish yellowish, to contrast the blue. Finally, I'm gonna make a custom color scheme beyond the one that I already did originally to show you how you can apply custom color schemes as well. I think I'm gonna go with pastel. So I basically make everything rainbow colored, but make it really light in tone. Okay, so here are the 4 versions that I did. If you're going traditional, you'll have to settle on a scheme in the beginning because you can't really go back unless you glaze a ton. And then after you choose the scheme, you have to mix the paints and then put the paints. Yeah, I'm not teaching that. Well, that's it for this. Tell me what you think and tell me if you want any other videos. Peace out and have fun arting.